the SEC chew itself up. 16 teams in the SEC, and then there were 5 that remain unbeaten. Ole Miss, Missouri, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, and Texas A&M.
Just what we thought.
Only, just like it was drawn up, John, undefeated teams. Now, obviously, there's a whole lot of SEC football and football to be played, but now after Georgia has a loss, Alabama has a loss to Florida State. Now you start to ask the question, what is this going to mean for the totality of the conference and the College Football Playoff Committee, as the conference certainly is going to probably have a lot of 1- and 2-loss teams across the board, and it's the SEC going to have some teams sitting on the outside because the SEC cannibalizes itself throughout the course of the season.
Yeah, guess what happens? Vanderbilt now has to play better teams. They're probably going to lose a few games. Missouri, no disrespect to Kelly Kroll, but Missouri's schedule is going to start to pick up. You know who they've beaten to be 5-0? Central Arkansas. They beat the Fighting Scottie Pippins. They beat Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Louisiana. They beat South Carolina, whose quarterback was injured and came back, and UMass. You know what they have left on the schedule? Alabama, Auburn, Vandy, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. They've got 2 or 3 losses in.
Holy moly.
Yeah. Business, as they like to say, picks up.
You got to play the schedule in front of you.
Sure.
So far, so good.
Mm-hmm.
You build momentum. Sometimes you take care of a couple of teams you're not supposed to take care of later because of that confidence you've built in the first few weeks. So
now I'm going to tell you one that I think is fascinating that might be we didn't talk about them to make the playoffs, but might be there is Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. A&M's already got a huge road win at Notre Dame, and the Fighting Irish look better. They play LSU. They miss Alabama. They miss Georgia. They do play Texas at the end of the year, and then they play Missouri. There's a good chance A&M could be a 10-2, 11-1 type team. And guess what? In the SEC, with an out-of-conference win against Notre Dame, you got a chance to get in.
You look at Oklahoma, they've already gone and taken care of Michigan, and they've taken care of Auburn. So they'll have Texas and Ole Miss and Tennessee and Alabama. So the schedule eventually will take care of itself and even itself out. But even if they win, 2 or 3 of those games, they're still going to be in a situation where they could be a 2-loss team at the end of the season and still look pretty good with 2 losses on their resume.
Do we think there's going to be an undefeated SEC team, any of them? Like anybody? My answer is no. I don't think any one of them finishes undefeated.
Let me look at Ole Miss's. Yeah,
Ole Miss still has to come to
Georgia. They got Oklahoma in Norman.
Those are the only 2,
That's
though.
The only team that has a shot is Ole Miss, because after that they have South Carolina, Citadel, and Florida.
And Mississippi State, the Egg Bowl. And Mississippi State's an improved football team.
Maybe Ole Miss now.
Yeah.
Is who my money would be on, but they have some tough games on the road, and they have to prove it.
And if I'm a betting person, Georgia's not losing 2 games at home in the same year. So you'd like to figure they take care of business. Oklahoma, if their quarterback was healthy, maybe you'd think about them. But as far as the other undefeateds, it's Texas A&M, and it's maybe, as you talked about, Ole Miss. I don't think there's an undefeated team in the SEC, which means you're probably going to get multiple teams with 1 and 2 losses out of that conference jockeying for position.
It's so hard to go undefeated in any league, really. But
especially that league.
Especially this league where they have 3 games left against ranked teams inside the top 19, plus South Carolina, plus Florida.
So what would you take? And I'm just going to use a hypothetical situation. Just say you get a 2-loss. I'll just throw Alabama out there. 2-loss Alabama and a 2-loss Notre Dame, which will mean Notre Dame's won 10 in a row, and their only 2 losses are at Miami and a 1-point missed extra point against Texas A&M. Who gets in? It's got to be Alabama.
Why would you say it's got to be Alabama? You just told me Notre Dame lost by 4 total points in 2 games.
Okay,
and just rattled off 10 in a row?
Because here's going to be their wins.
So you're going to tell a team that just rattled off 10 in a row
Who'd you beat?
they don't.
Yeah.
Who'd you beat?
You beat Purdue, Arkansas, Boise State, NC State, USC, Boston College, Navy, Pitt, Syracuse, and Stanford. None of them will be ranked. 0.
Okay.
Where Alabama would have to rattle.
By 3 points, you lost to 2 ranked teams.
4 points.
4 points. I'm sorry.
But
I'm putting Notre Dame in
over an Alabama.
Yes.
Who would have a win on the road against Georgia?
Who else are they losing to? Tell me who they lost to down the stretch.
They lost to Florida State.
I know that. Tell me who they lose to down the stretch.
Okay, we'll pick a team. Who do you want them to lose to?
LSU. Could they get them? Tennessee.
They lose to Tennessee.
By what? And win.
They win by 10.
That's
They
what
lose
is
by
that, the
10.
third Saturday in November or something?
Third Saturday in October.
There you go. Thank you.
So your win would be you would have wins then against Georgia, who's ranked, Vandy, who's ranked, Missouri, who's ranked, LSU, who's ranked, Oklahoma, who's ranked.
Okay.
Yeah, they get
Oklahoma's quarterback is dead.
Well, he'll be back
Missouri
by
is
the
a
time they
paper
play.
tiger because we just talked about that. And
But
I mean,
who I just laid out for Notre Dame, if you combined all their teams, they wouldn't be good.
all right, it's listen.
But that's
If
going
a
to be a
team rattles off
conversation.
10 games in a row, I'm going to have a very hard time keeping them out of the playoffs.
I told you yesterday,
10 in
Penn
a row?
State is
Did
one
you
of the
say
better.
this about Indiana last year when they had no wins against anybody?
Yeah, I got no
you
problem
didn't.
with Indiana. I love
you
Indiana
did. You
football.
didn't like Indiana.
Look, all that guy does is win.
The college
Signetti.
football playoff will give favor to Penn State because they always lose 2 games and they always have cachet.
that
And Notre
thing-
Dame will always have cachet because they'll find a way to win 10 or 11 games based on their schedule and their 9 in a conference.
Penn State is a fascinating case study again because of where they were preseason ranked.
It matters.
Oh, I understand that. And what did they just do?
Lost
To who?
Oregon.
In overtime.
In overtime. Thank
At
you.
home. I knew you were going there.
Football is hard. It's hard to win week in and week out. And they just lost to maybe the best team in the country in overtime. I know you had to come back late and it didn't look good early, but
I'm going to go back because they're going to lose on the road to Ohio State because it's what James Franklin does.
Oh.
Go ahead and mark me down for that bet.
Georgia
right now.
losing to Alabama, Penn State loses to
the
Ohio.
same. Penn State losing to any ranked team.
Right.
It's kind of what their thing is. So them beating UCLA and Northwestern and Iowa and Villanova and FIU and Nevada and Michigan State and Nebraska and Rutgers and maybe a win against Indiana.
My
maybe.
goodness.
That's playoff worthy? No, it's name recognition worthy.
Well, that's where the cachet of the SEC is going to come in. These teams that do survive, they're going to have ranked teams they beat and named recognition teams they beat.
Right, but you think about Indiana, that's not a name recognition. That's just a team that got hot and rattled off a bunch of wins in a
They
row.
won 11 games and they got
Right.
in. And then everybody complained because they got blown out where they actually lost closer to Notre Dame than other teams did.
And that was a funky game where they had like 2 mishaps early or something.
Yeah,
and got
Jeremiah Love
behind.
had a 75-yard touchdown. It got out of hand fairly early, and it was in the snow and whatever.
So it's fascinating. It's football. It's sport. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know why they're there. But if they rattle off their schedule and go win games, unless it's like Powder Puff Central.
Well,
dude,
I just named their whole schedule's powder puff, other than Indiana and Ohio State.
a bunch of ACC squads that your schools is hanging around.
Yeah. It's not our fault that the ACC stinks.
Right.
We
It's
went
not
out and
their fault
scheduled
either.
Notre Dame and Florida out of conference.
You got your biggie coming up.
Yeah.
You got to go to Tallahassee. That's the
Our
season.
biggie was the opener.